Hello and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my very first guest of today is this incredible singer and songwriter known by the name of Sam Cary. So I'm about to add Sam into the live now to have a chat with Sam about her incredible music. So yeah, let's add Sam in and have a chat with Sam. Sam, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I just want to say first up, thank you so much for taking the time to join my show. It's such a pleasure having you on, Sam. So to people that don't know who you are, if you can give like a bit of backstory about who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on. My name is Sam Cary. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Southern California. I do kind of a mix, but it's based in country music, but influences from pop, R&B, rock, things like that.
Awesome. So we'll dive right into the very first question. So you have created this incredible new song release called Bitter. What was like the whole experience like coming up with the idea of wanting to create Bitter, and like what's the whole meaning behind Bitter?
Yeah, so Bitter was kind of a weird songwriting process. I had actually been in Nashville working on a project that will be released shortly, but I was in Nashville, we were writing a lot of songs, and we had written another song right before it, and my producer had brought in a guitarist, and we were just hanging out, and we had some extra time, and we're like, hey, like Alex is the guitarist, we're like, why don't you show us something that you would normally write? And so he did, and he showed us this kind of cool like R&B inspired guitar lick, and we were all really vibing with it. So I just started kind of laying, scratch vocals on top of it, and that ended up creating the structure for the song. But then later on, we put in all the lyrics, and the lyrics were really just inspired from, I think, a feeling that a lot of people feel after a breakup or after, losing a friend or anything like that, where they kind of are trying to move on, but you also feel extremely, caught up in your emotions and kind of normalizing that feeling. So it was cool. It wasn't we went in trying to write this song. It just kind of organically happened. So it's super cool.
So on to my very next question. So you have also created another incredible song called Seven Nation Army. What was like the whole experience like getting to create this song? Like, how did you come up with the idea of wanting to create this song in the first place? And what's the whole meaning behind Seven Nation Army?
Well, Seven Nation Army is actually a cover by the White Stripes, and I had never intended to actually put out a cover. Before usually it was all like original focus, but I really love the song, and my producer was like, "Hey, Sam, like pick a song that everyone knows, but we're gonna do it completely different than what people think of when they hear that song." So we kind of had a few songs in mind. I think we were kind of caught between House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, and then also Seven Nation Army, and I think maybe a few others. And Seven Nation Army just felt so cool because we were doing it in a way that was so different from Jack White and the White Stripes. There is a very driving alternative rock song, and ours is kind of like a bluesy, haunting, just not what you'd expect. And I'm really proud of how that one came out. So definitely go check that one out. Check all my songs out, but check out that cover because it's super, super cool.
So on to the very next question. So you have also created a song called Ungodly Hours. What was like the whole experience like coming up with like the name of this, and like what's the whole meaning behind it?
Ungodly Hours is another kind of interesting song experience. I had just or was about to graduate high school at the time, and I was looking out at my peers and just like all the trouble you get yourself into when you're young and reckless. And I mean, part of it was autobiographical for me, part of it was just observation of people around me. But I was like, I'm gonna write like a coming of age, kind of we're young and we don't care, like you only live once kind of song. And it was just really inspired by what I was currently seeing around me at that moment in my life, and it felt really true to where I was in my life, and also a few years down the line looking back on where I had been in my life at that time. I kind of think of that song as like a coming of age film, but like in song version, and we're gonna do a video for it and really want that to be how how that comes across in the video. So that song, I mean, I wrote it in my childhood bedroom and then had the opportunity to go out to Nashville, and I actually finished writing it with the same two people that I wrote Bitter with. So it was a kind of full circle moment. It's pretty cool.
So on to our very next question. So you have also created a song called Bonnie and Clyde. Like what's the meaning behind like this incredible like song that because like Bonnie and Clyde was such a historical figure back in the day. Why Bonnie and Clyde?
Ooh, honestly, like there's really no rhyme or reason why I write certain things. It kind of just, happens to be honest. Sometimes it's based off, an emotion I'm feeling in real life. Sometimes I create characters in my head and kind of like if you were writing a short story, but putting it in song version. And with Bonnie and Clyde, I just had this like line like, let's give Bonnie and Clyde a run for their money. And I think Bonnie and Clyde, they were so historical and they ended up, what the things they did together didn't end so well. But nonetheless, like that feeling of being so like chaotically in love with someone that you would literally be reckless with them and for them and all these things. I think that's something that in a deeper sense of it, people can relate to, even if you can't relate to, being like a thief and, like running from the police. Like I feel like not most people can relate to that. So like most people aren't going to live the same life trajectory as Bonnie and Clyde. But I think you can like relate to that feeling, that is connected to that, like the chaotic love, the recklessness, all that kind of stuff. So I just, started with a hook and kind of built a story from there. Like, what did I want to say for these characters that I was creating?
Awesome. So on to our very next question. So you have also created this other incredible song called Mary Did. Mary Did You. Oh, sorry about that. Mary Did You Know. Gosh, that's a hard thing to say. So what was like the whole meaning behind this song about Mary Did You Know, and like why this song?
Well, Mary Did You Know was another cover. It was a Christmas time. It's like one of the most famous Christmas songs I feel like out there. But it was, I think my producer at the time he was doing a thing where he was bringing his artists in to do Christmas songs. And we got to pick, and it was like super last minute and just organic. And that was one of my favorite songs to do during the holiday season. I love the story behind it. It's a haunting song. I love myself a good, haunting melody. So I think it was just the choice that I wanted, for a Christmas song to put out there. And next Christmas, I think I'm going to actually put out an original Christmas song. So that will be super exciting because, everyone's heard all the Christmas songs that are out there. I mean, except for maybe a few obscure ones, everyone kind of knows them. So putting your own out there, kind of like, sneak into the mix, is kind of cool.
Well, can I just say, Sam, like your whole music range, like vocal wise, like is truly sensational. Like you have such a gift inside of you. And I just want to say, like, I love your music. Like your music
Thank you.
super, like incredible. What made you want to decide you wanted to like get into music in the first place?
Honestly, it wasn't like ever a decision of like, oh, I want to make music now. I feel like it was always something in me, something I always did from when I was very, very young. And in a sense, it's like I didn't choose to make music. Music chose me to make it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, since I was just really little, I loved singing. I think when I was a kid, I didn't understand the gravity of what music meant to me. I knew I enjoyed making it, but I never thought of like, oh, I want this to be my career and I'm literally gonna make so many sacrifices for this crazy dream. I think I just was like, oh, I like to sing and I enjoy music and I like writing. But I think when I entered middle school and then on to high school, you start thinking about like, wait, what do I want to do? And then for me, it was like, honestly, I'm not going to be content doing anything other than music. And yeah, music might literally kill me in the process of making it, but I mean, I would rather that than do something for the rest of my life that I don't care about. So yeah, the music kind of chose me. It's kind of crazy.
Awesome. So on to our very next question. So you have also created this incredible song called What You're Doing to Me. What was like the whole experience like creating this song, and what's the whole meaning behind this song?
What You're Doing to Me was actually the first single I ever put out. There's a couple songs that aren't on Spotify, What You're Doing to Me, Stand, Move On, and Toxic, that I made when I was in high school. And I still have so much love in my heart for those songs, but I think when I was going to kind of redefine myself in my music, I felt like, in a way, those felt outdated for me. But now, the more I play them live, I'm like, okay, I'm eventually going to put them back on Spotify. Right now, they're on all other streaming platforms. But I think What You're Doing to Me really captures that like innocence as a young, person coming into their, feelings for another person, like, kind of that unrequited love, schoolgirl crush kind of thing, and how like agonizing that is when you're in high school and young. And I feel like maybe even when you're older, you get a slightly better understanding of it. You don't take it near as personal, I think. But when you're young, you just like can't control those emotions that you're feeling. So for me at least, that's what you're doing to me was. It was about a guy in my I think freshman year that I was obsessed with, and like I just needed to get those emotions out because I couldn't actually confront him in real life, so I could confront him in a song. And it's funny, he's actually heard the song, but still doesn't know it's about him. So it's one of my greatest, little secrets.
Awesome. So on to our very next question. So who inspired you as a person, like, to get into singing in the first place?
Ooh, I have a weird singing story. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really listen to a lot of mainstream music. I did occasionally, but I really listened to classical music and theatrical music and things like that. That was just what I was raised on when I was younger, and classic rock too. But I think like just all powerful female vocalists across history, whether they're pop vocalists, country vocalists, blues, R&B, like those like people, theatrical singers that have like those amazing ranges and dynamic, or even opera, which is something I loved when I was younger. I think I was just inspired by their ability to tell a story and like literally express themselves on that deeper level. So that was super like influential to me. Regardless of the style, it was just like the need, to be like that and express myself in that way.
So on to our very next question. So what does performing music mean to you, like, especially as an artist?
Ooh, honestly, it's like I always say that art and music is the expression of the soul. So when you're out there performing it, like there's something to be said about being in a studio and writing songs and things like that. But when you're out there on stage and you're connecting with the audience, it's like so different. It's absolutely amazing. And I just love that like human connection that you have when someone is watching you perform, because you know that while they're listening to you, your songs are taking them somewhere inside themselves. I feel like anyone that listens to music, it reminds them of something, it brings them to some kind of feeling or thought or memory. And I don't know, I love being able to connect with people through song. And it's like probably one of the deepest connections I think you can make with another person. So that's my favorite thing.
Awesome. So on to the very next question. So if you could work with like any top 3 music artists in the industry, who would they be and why?
That one's hard because there's so many amazing people, and then there's artists, but there's also producers and songwriters and like, musicians that maybe aren't singers. So that's like really, really difficult, but I'm a huge, huge Chris Stapleton fan. If anyone likes country music, you'll know who he is. He's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm a huge Chris Stapleton fan through and through. So 100% he's like top of my list. I think it would be amazing to be in a songwriting session with Taylor Swift. Regardless if you love her or hate her, she's a phenomenal writer. Like, you'd be lying if you said she wasn't. So I think it'd be really cool to like, even if I didn't write a song with her, to like watch that process and learn from it firsthand, because there's a reason why she's like one of the most famous people in the world. She's got something. So I think that would be really, really cool. And then for my last one, I don't know, like there's just so many amazing people. I think it'd be really cool to do a collab with like, a legend of sorts, like Dolly Parton or Reba McEntire or Willie Nelson, one of the greats. I think that would just be really humbling and like just the coolest experience because I grew up listening to them.
Awesome. So on to our very next question. So what have you learned about yourself as a person, like especially during COVID?
As a person or a musician?
A person or a musician, whatever works for you.
As a person, I learned that I need to like prioritize my time better, because the thing about COVID, before COVID, I was very much like go, 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 and like, just kind of all over the place. And then COVID made me realize like how really like not together I had everything. So that allowed me to, kind of reevaluate myself. And that was really cool. But as a musician, kind of goes hand in hand with that, like, remembering that I have to constantly be on the grind. Even if I'm busy, I have to keep working hard. I have to prioritize my music. I can't just wait for things to happen. It won't happen like that. So definitely, I think COVID made me kind of, it like relit that fuse inside of me for ambition and like creativity and things like that.
So on to our very next question. So what are like the positive side and negative sides into the whole music industry, and how do you get through those negatives as a person?
Comparison culture is probably the worst thing in the music industry, especially as a female. It probably is this way for males too, but especially as a female, comparison is horrible just because, you know, you see other people that are doing something, you know, somewhat similar as you, look somewhat like you, sound somewhat like you know, doing way better than you, and you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong that's not me? Or like vice versa, someone else could be looking at you like that. And then two, it's just like you look at the industry and a lot of things don't make sense as to why, you know, certain people are out here amazing, and you like meet a lot of people that you think are just beyond talented, and then you're not seeing their work pay off as hard as you think it should, and then you see other people that you feel like, how did that happen? It's just very like, there's a lot of comparisons. So I think that's probably one of the worst things in the music industry, but you just have to be strong within yourself and not think about that too much. Second off, the everyone's always doing like the same thing as each other, I feel like a lot of times. And I feel like also too, even if you think you're doing something new, it's probably been done before. So constantly finding it in yourself to not like, you don't need to do something crazy, but like find the authenticity in what you're doing, you know, and put that into your music, put that into your content, put that into how you carry yourself. Because more than likely, you know, there's been some variation of what you've done before out there, but how do you do that but different and better? I think that's another thing to think about. And then, the third thing, it's freaking exhausting. There's a lot of stuff you have to do that they don't tell you about. Like, I mean, I'm not complaining. I love it. I love my job so much, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But you not only have to be talented, you don't have to like, you know, go on and like make sure you're put together. You also have to be, you know, a social media wizard. You have to give like video. Like you have to think about content and video and all that. You have to have a sense of fashion. You have to know how to play an instrument. You have to like, there's so much more. You also have to have like the stamina to do live shows. You have to be creative in developing a set list. You have to be really on top of your email, organized, all this stuff that you just don't think about. You think, oh, I just want to sing. No. That's so much bigger than just singing. So you definitely have to be like patient and hold yourself accountable.
So on to our very last question. So what's like next for you, like for the rest of 2021, like music wise, that you'd like to announce?
So I'm putting out another song at the end of June. Super excited about that. And if you head over to my Instagram, Cary Music, you can find out a lot more about that as I start posting about it. I'm gonna have lots of video content this summer, so definitely head over to Cary Music on YouTube and subscribe. Check out the videos I already have there. That's gonna be a place I'm really gonna start, you know, pushing content out into. And I'm gonna be putting out an album eventually this summer, hopefully. So that's another thing that if you head over to any of my social medias, you can find out more about.
Awesome. Well, would you like to perform one of your songs on the show, by the way?
Yes. Good thing I brought my guitar. Let me grab it. Okay, let's see. I didn't know if you were gonna ask me to, so I was like, I better bring my guitar anyway. Let me just tune this up real quick. Okay. I'm gonna do my song Bonnie and Clyde, if that's okay.
Yes, it is.
This town's too small for sneaking around the people talk. No one going down. Suffering when missing Jenny's wallet's gone. The road that's down here is over. So find a car, I'll meet you at the back door. Let's get Bonnie and Clyde for the money. Don't worry, 'cause got it figured out. It's getting crazy now. Let's leave this town. Baby, you and me, down New Orleans, somewhere else where I wanna be. So I got things in gold and silver. Get Bonnie and Clyde a shoe. Oh, 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 oh. All night, divide, rolling through each stop sign. Your hand in mine, we'll be crossing both state lines. Hope's no better than to mess with our lives like us. And anyone who sees us better keep their mouth shut. Let's get Bonnie and Clyde for the money. Don't need to worry, 'cause got it figured out. It's getting crazy now. Let's leave this town. Baby, you and me, down New Orleans, somewhere else where I wanna be. So I got things in gold and silver. Get Bonnie and Clyde. Oh, 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 oh. No matter how all of this ends, there's nobody else I'd rather go. No matter how all of this ends, there's nobody else I'd rather go with. So let's get Bonnie and Clyde around for the money. Don't need to worry, 'cause got it figured out. It's getting crazy now. Let's leave this town. Oh, baby, you and me, down New Orleans, somewhere else where I wanna be. So I got things in gold and silver. Get Bonnie and Clyde. Oh, 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 oh. Get Bonnie and Clyde. Give Bonnie and Clyde the show.
Yes, Sam.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, can I just say thank you so much, Sam, for making the time to join my show. It's been such a pleasure having you on. Do you have like any last final thoughts that you'd like to say to people on the show?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was a good way to spend my afternoon, so thank you so much. And anyone who's watched, or are you saving this after?
I will be, yes.
Okay. Anyone who's watched or will watch, just make sure to check us both out. Check out him at the Galaxy Man Show and me at Cary Music. And until next time.
Army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. Back and forth running through my mind behind a cigarette. And the message coming from my eyes says forever.